Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Robin and I post about topics in AutoTube. So today it's going to be a shorter video than the previous ones I've done, hopefully. I just wanted to show you guys a really cool new tool that I found this week. A few weeks ago, I made a video on all the tools that I love to use as a self-published author, and I mentioned ProWritingAid as a great self-editing tool. But this week, I came across another software that does something similar, but a little bit different, and I just wanted to show you guys the difference between this product and ProWritingAid. This is not going to be a comparison video side by side of the two products. This is more going to be a short demonstration of the main feature of this new product that I found that differs from ProWritingAid. If you're looking to see whether ProWritingAid versus this product is right for you, I've linked an article in the description below that you can find that shows you a side-by-side comparison of the two and goes into a quick detailed summary of each and what they can do for your writing. And just to make it clear, both of these products, ProWritingAid and this new product, are self-editing tools that you can use after you finish the first draft and you're looking to self-edit your novel. So this new product that I've found is called AutoCrit. One thing to note about AutoCrit is that it's not just a self-editing tool, it's also a platform where you can connect with other authors and take courses that they offer every once in a while. They have courses just in general to hone your writing and work on your craft, and they also have courses for various genres. The two courses I found that they offer based on genre is Beyond Reality, which is a science fiction writing course, and the other one was Nightmare Fuel, which is a horror writing course. As you could probably guess which one caught my attention. The Nightmare Fuel, of course, caught my attention right away because I'm looking to write my next series in the horror genre, and I just thought this was perfect timing that I found this course. So I will keep you guys updated on that. Alright, but now to the meat of this video, the feature that AutoCrit has that ProWritingAid doesn't, and I will demonstrate for you how it works. If you read anything about ProWritingAid versus AutoCrit, any of the articles online, you may see that AutoCrit is a bit more expensive than ProWritingAid, and ProWritingAid can technically do more with the tools that they have. It's just this one feature, I believe, that makes AutoCrit more of a tool that's specific for fiction authors. So this tool is the author comparison tool, or the genre comparison tool, or just generally the compare to other fiction tool. AutoCrit analyzes thousands, I believe, of books that already exist in the genre that you're writing in, compares your book to the writer of your choice that you are trying to write like. It uses this algorithm to compare your book to that genre or that author just to see how you are doing on many different categories of your writing. So it's a really cool feature to analyze how your book compares to other books in your genre. If you pick, for example, Stephen King, of course, I always use Stephen King in these examples, but it's just, you know, I just love Stephen King, so why not? But yeah, if you pick, for example, Stephen King, then you can compare how much adverbs you're using in comparison to Stephen King in his books, how you're using descriptions, what words you're using versus what words commonly used in his books. And let's give another example, so we're moving away from Stephen King as well. So let's say you're writing a YA fiction fantasy like I was for my series, then you can select YA fiction fantasy and the AutoCrit tool will compare your book to thousands of other books in that genre. I will go into the tool right now and I will show you what this looks like. Here we are in the AutoCrit self-editing tool. As you can see here at the top, I have my compare your text set to Stephen King. When you first log into AutoCrit, this defaults as just general fiction, and then you can click on it and change it to whatever you want. This is the long list that they have of the different genres and the different authors that you can compare your work to. At first, they only had fiction, but now they've added nonfiction as well, so that's pretty cool. I'm just going to scroll through the list a bit to show you guys just quickly exactly what they have available right now. Fiction, nonfiction, various genres, even business, magazine, movie script, and then here starts the author list. Goes alphabetically all the way from A to Z, all the big authors here. So there you have it. That is the list of authors and genres they have that you can compare your book to. And directly under that, we have all the various reports that you can run. But today I'm going to just touch on two of these, which are the two things that are distinctly different from ProWritingAid. And that is just the overall summary, because it includes everything, and the combination report. So the combination report is what you use to compare your writing to whatever genre or whatever author you have chosen to compare it to. I'm going to upload a new text, and I'm going to upload my latest book, Human Nature, the final book in my Scientist and Girl series. I'm going to use that book as a demonstration for you guys of how you can use this for your own writing. Okay, so here I have Human Nature. I've uploaded the file directly into the program. It takes a couple of seconds. It's pretty fast, even for a 70,000 word novel. So before we get to evaluating the book, when you are running the reports, you can either choose to run the report on the entire manuscript in one go, or you can do it by chapter. So the program recognizes chapters if you have chapter names or just the word chapter and then numbers written after, then AutoCrit sees those as chapters and you can analyze by chapter. So this button here you can toggle on and off. You can analyze it by chapter or just the entire manuscript. So I'm going to analyze by chapter because I just want to show you guys what that looks like. Alright, time to run the summary report on this manuscript. We'll see how my writing compares to Stephen King's writing. Alright, I'm pretty nervous to see how it fares, because even though this book is not supposed to be, anything like his books or anything, the next series I'm going to be writing is going to be more similar style as Stephen King books. It's not that necessary for this book, but it would be cool to know how far I am away from using his advice from his book on writing. So here we go. Run the summary report. So I just click on that and it's loading and we'll see what the results are. Da-da-da-da! Alright, so overall score of 79.81. I still have to do my editing on this book. This is about, I guess, what I would have expected. They say that if you get a score of over 85, then that's really good. Then that's on the level of the great authors out there, apparently. It's not too bad before doing all the editing. What matters is the finished product anyway, So this here's a kind of zoomed out look on the more general topics that provide reports in this program. It seems like I have the most highlights of suggested changes from strong writing. So strong writing is adverbs, passive indicators, tense consistency, showing vs telling, etc. it's basically telling me that it has some suggestions for how I can make my writing stronger. So it has the most suggestions in that category. That's what this is telling me here. After that, we have number of words, like how long it currently is, number of uncommon words used in the entire manuscript, number of complex words used in the manuscript, the reading level. I'm not going to go into what these mean, but it's essentially, this is evaluating how readable your book or manuscript is on these scales. How many sentences you have in the entire manuscript, how many words is in your average sentence. So I have 10 average words per sentence. Not bad, I guess. I think the average is 12, I believe. And my book is more action adventure type book. So if you decrease the word count of your sentences, your book is going to move at a faster pace. And that's what you want for action adventure. You want more faster paced scenes. It makes sense for my book to have a number that's slightly below the average number of words per sentence. Then next up we have the paragraph analysis. Again, it tells you the number of paragraphs in the entire manuscript, the average words per paragraph, the number of slow-paced paragraphs, and the percentage of slow-paced paragraphs. As I mentioned, my novel is a more faster-paced action-adventure novel, so 3%, not too bad. And same with the average words per paragraph. I believe in general it's 40. Don't quote me on that though. But since my book, I want it to be faster paced, the reader is reading through my paragraph, I want it to go quickly. I just wanted to add that this comparison to other books in your genre is so important because your genre, it determines a lot about your book and how you want your book to look to your reader. If you're writing a epic fantasy, your book is going to look completely different than if you're writing a romance or a cozy mystery. So genre determines a lot, whether it's word count or just how fast-paced your writing is, and things like this, like average words per paragraph and per sentence. It's all going to be different depending on your genre. So this tool kind of highlights just how important it is to know your genre when you're writing in it. To get to know it well, it's going to look different depending on what you're writing and who your reader is. Okay, now for the meat of this comparison. How do I compare to Stephen King? All right, let's see. Adverbs. Stephen King is famous for saying don't use adverbs. I mean, he's not the only one who said this. It's good practice to use verbs and adjectives as description rather than adverbs. I always keep this in mind when I write, so I think that's why the scale is so much on this side of the spectrum here. I've just ingrained this into me that even when I'm writing, I just always try to use the right description beforehand. There is no problem if you don't do this. That's what editing is for. You can always go back and change and add description. I just remember hearing Stephen King say that when I was back in high school, I think, and I've ingrained that in my mind ever since. I guess what I need to work on then are these three other categories: generic descriptions, showing vs telling, and filler words. They all seem to be in the same exact spot for all three of them, which is very interesting. But that means I have to work on all of these three things if I want to write more like Stephen King. Another side note about this program that I think is really cool is that you can add previous books you've written and compare them to your own. Right now I've uploaded Human Nature and I'm comparing Human Nature to Stephen King. But I've also uploaded my previous book, Killing Jar, to compare that to Stephen King as well prior to this recording. And I got a completely different result for these things. I remember my showing vs telling was way down here in excess. So that means I was telling a lot more than showing. It's really cool because I can see how my writing has improved just from the book I wrote before this one. I love to see progress. I love to see improvement in my writing. And I feel that every time I write a book and I read a previous book I wrote, even just the last book I wrote before that one, sometimes I see vast differences in my writing and I notice, and it always makes me feel really good because it makes me feel like I'm growing and improving as a writer. And it's always good to see progress. And it's really good motivation to keep going and keep learning. But yeah, that's just a side note of how you can also use this to compare previous things you've written too. The next report is my use of power words. So AutoCrit has a database of words that are powerful. In other words, they elicit powerful emotions in you. And they have a database of these words that they take from, again, all the other published works in the genre that you're comparing to, or the books that are written by the author that you're comparing your book to. This again will also depend on your genre. If you're writing a horror book or a thriller book or a suspense book or a mystery, something darker, then you want most of your power words to elicit things like fear. You want this to be the highest, and it is for me, so that's a good sign. It's much higher than all the other things in this list, and you can see here as this is represented in the pie chart on the side. So it all depends on your genre and what tone you want to convey with your book and what emotions you want to elicit in your readers. So this next report is a really interesting one. It's generally regarded as a good practice in writing to limit your dialogue tags as much as possible. But when you do use them, just use simple words like said and asked. Dialogue tags are not really where you want to show your creativity as an author. You want to show that more in the descriptions, colorful adjectives and verbs, things like that, and action scenes. But dialogue tags you want to kind of blend into the background and you want the reader to gloss over them as if they're not there. So the best practice is to omit them where it's possible to. What I usually do in my own writing is I try and omit them, instead having a character perform an action right after saying something so that the reader kind of knows that the character who is performing the action is also the one who just spoke. So I'm not sure if AutoCrit is catching that when it's looking at others. This is something I have to look back on my work to check, but I usually try and leave out the colorful dialogue tags. Point of view, of course, is just the point of view that you're writing in. Are you writing in first person, third person, or the more rare second person? Ideally, you want one of these to fill up most of this pie chart here. My book is in first person, so naturally, first person is going to take the highest precedence here. This pie chart is also kind of misleading because third person also includes other characters and it also includes dialogue. So even if you're writing in third person and a character is saying, oh, I did this, I did that, in dialogue, it's still going to show up in this pie chart. So it's a little hard to evaluate from this pie chart whether you are accidentally switching between point of view when you're not supposed to be. It's still interesting to see what the ratio is to how much you are talking about from your main character's point of view versus all your other characters, and how much you mention it in dialogue as well. And now the third part of this is the tense, of course. How much you write in present, past versus future tense. My book, as you may have guessed from looking at this pie chart, is in present tense, but there are some flashbacks, and that's going to be in past tense. And of course, there's always going to be some future when maybe characters are talking about what they're about to do or what they're going to do. What you're really taking out of this is that you want the tense or the point of view that you're writing in to take up the highest amount of space in this pie chart. Okay, so now we are coming to the sentence pattern section of the evaluation. It seems like my biggest issue is initial pronouns and names. So that means I start sentences a lot with he, she, it, and names, like the character names, and maybe I, because my book is in first person, so I must be starting a lot of sentences with I. So this is something I know I need to work on, and it's reflected in this report. I think repetition was another thing that I remember that I have to keep in mind when I'm writing personally. I noticed in my writing that I tend to repeat a lot of the same words or phrases very close together, and I don't notice until I'm in the editing phase. So this is the opposite for me of the adverb issue, where the adverbs I always keep in mind subconsciously when I'm in the writing phase. Repetition, I don't do this. So repetition is one thing I really need to gruel down on in the self-editing part of my process, because I tend to repeat things a lot. This is really funny, this next one, word frequency. So it makes a little word cloud, I believe they're called, of your most used words in your manuscript. And Doc is the most used word in my manuscript by far. Doc is like one of the main characters, and I just love using his name, so I'm not surprised at all. All right, so let's see what the phrase frequency is. Stare at. I'm already seeing that that's something I need to go back and fix, because if stare at is my most repeated phrase, you don't want it to be something like a verb, like stare. It's not a very descriptive verb. It's kind of more generic. It's not one of those power verbs. So I think I could go back in my writing and really change those stare ats to something more unique and descriptive and creative. Things like the wolf or the rage, nouns, make more sense to be more frequent in your writing because you're referring to a specific thing. But if a verb phrase is your most frequently used phrase, then especially something as, like I said, non-powerful and generic as stare, my characters love to stare too much, and they need to be doing other things with their actions other than just staring. All right, so now I've just run the combination report. I went from summary here to combination report. It just takes what you had in the summary report that's specifically compared to Stephen King and puts it all in one place for you. So it's nothing really too different from what we just saw in the summary report. It's just putting all the comparison reports to the genre that you want to compare to or the author you want to compare to in one place for you. And it allows you to go by chapter as well. So as we scroll down here, you can see by chapters. Chapter 1 here, my generic descriptions is good, passive indicators are good, but showing vs telling indicators I have too many. So it indicates I'm telling too much and I'm not showing enough. And then it's showing you all the repeated words. And then it moves to chapter 2 and does the same thing. Alright guys, and there you have it. This has been a quick demonstration of the compare to fiction tool in AutoCrit. Alright, so there you have it, guys. That was the demonstration of the AutoCrit compare to fiction tool. They now have it also for nonfiction as well. Pretty useful tool if you want to see how your book compares to other already published books out there in your genre. Is this worth the extra money? That's up to you to decide whether this is something that would be useful for your book. I really wish they had a lifetime subscription option, because you're not using this tool all the time. You're using it once you've already written and you're in the self-published, the self-editing phase of your novel. So you're not going to be using this tool as much as let's say Scrivener or Dabble, which do offer a lifetime subscription. So that's one thing to note about this tool. ProWritingAid as well also offers a lifetime subscription. So that's another thing to note as well. So in summary, ProWritingAid offers more with the tools that they have, and it's cheaper, and they offer a lifetime subscription. So when you're in your self-editing phase of your book, you don't have to be paying all the time. AutoCrit, on the other hand, the only thing extra they really offer that ProWritingAid doesn't is this author or genre comparison tool, and they don't currently offer a lifetime subscription, so you're going to be subscribing to them for a number of months that you might not necessarily be needing or using this tool. It's up to you guys what you decide to do, but this is just a video to get all the information out there for you guys. If you are looking to get more information and like these videos, then be sure to subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up if you found this useful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!